The electricity supply in India is governed by various acts. The first act came into picture in the 1910, that is the Indian Electricity Act, that is creating a basic framework for the development of electric supply industry in India. So it was at the nascent stage, that is when the electrical sector was growing in India. So it also created a legal framework for laying down the conductors and other works relating to the supply of electricity. Now, in 1948, the Electricity Act came into picture, which mandated the creation of State Electricity Board, something as like your KSEB, Kerala State Electricity Board, and they have the responsibility of making available the electricity in the respective states. So the center has uh, given the powers to the state governments to make sure that the electricity reaches the consumer side. And then in 1998, the Electricity Regulatory Commission Act came into picture, and that was for to provide the distancing the government from the determination of tariffs, where the Electricity Regulatory Commission came into picture, and the state governments can create the State Electricity Regulatory Commission, and in our state also the power which is given by the KSEB tariff is determined by the Kerala State Electricity Regulatory Commission. And after that, there was a lot of liberalization which is coming into picture in the case of the electricity sector in India. And in order to transform and develop by distancing the government from the task of regulation, the Electricity Act 2003 came into picture, and that act was passed by the Parliament to consolidate the laws relating to generation, transmission, distribution, trading, and use of electricity. So we all are aware of generation, transmission, and distribution. What is trading? Trading is nothing but if you can search in the Google, just search for power exchange or energy exchange, where there is a people can sell the power and also they can buy the power. It can be a renewable energy, it can be a non-renewable energy, the type of power which they can buy. So it has created a lot of competition in the market. Now the objectives of that is to consolidate the laws related to the generation, transmission, distribution, trading, and use of electricity in order to develop the electricity industry in India and to promote the competition. So a lot of private players came into picture here, the Tata Power, the Reliance Power. So all these things has come into picture, and there is a lot of competition among the power producers. It also protects the interest of consumers and supply of electricity to all areas. And it has an appellate authority which takes care of all kind of issues related to electricity which is being faced by a consumer side. It has transparent policies regarding the subsidies which is given to each and every entity. It is being defined by the law. It also promotes efficient and environmental bearing policies. So all the policies which has to be formulated should be in accordance with the energy efficiency and also having lesser impact on the environment. And it has also created a Central Electricity Authority Regulatory Commission. And these are the main points or the objectives regarding the Electricity Act 2003. And the main features of Electricity Act we can see here. A generation is free from licensing. Anyone is free to have a generation. And captive generation means captive power plants. It is free from the control. That is, you have an industry that you need power, you to have a captive power plant there for their own purpose. The restructuring of the state electricity boards, mandatory establishment of the regulatory commission. We already said that regulatory commission fixes the tariffs. open access in transmission. That means anyone can buy or sell power in an exchange like what we do in our share market. So people can buy. If I want power, I can search for the things and I can see who is selling power at a lower cost so that I can buy from them. So there is an open access for generation and for also transmission. Now uh, that is what is happening in our solar power plants. We are keeping our small solar power plants in our offices or in our homes. We can import or export power. So all these things are because of the open access. And there is an electricity trading. That is what the energy exchange and the power exchange, what we are talking, is related to the electricity trading. And stringent provisions for violation of the grid discipline and theft of power. So the theft of power is a serious issue because of the amount of fine which comes into picture over there. And it also provides a stringent provision for the violation of the grid discipline. That is the frequency which has to be maintained, the load which is being demanded by the consumers. So all these things as stringent regulations are there. So this has made electricity as a not an entity only with the government. It has therefore a lot of private players came into picture, and therefore it has resulted in a competition, and they started reliable power at a lower cost. So at the end, our consumers are getting benefited because of this kind of features of the Electricity Act 2003. Now we have the National Electric Code NEC 2011. So it is again coming under the Bureau of Indian Standards. We have an ETD committee. So ETD committee is nothing but, we already discussed about the Electrotechnical Division Council of Bureau of Indian Standards. So ETD 20 is nothing but the committee which is coming under the Electrotechnical Division of Bureau of Indian Standards. So the members of this committee are from the Central Electricity Authority, Central PWD, State Electrical Inspectorate, installation designers, engineers, and contractors. And the standards and codes are prepared through a process of consultation among the stakeholders and also from the public. So the NEC 2011, it mainly contains the guidelines which can be adopted immediately. So all these things are ensuring the safety and ease of operation of the equipments. So it harmonized with the corresponding international standard. IEC is nothing but International Electro Technical Commission. So all the codes which is given in NEC 2011 is at par with the IEC standard, and the code is mainly in an advisory and not mandatory, and should be adopted in the interest of safety and economy. And at the ultimately, it is to make sure that our installation procedures and practices are at par with the international practices. Now the scope of National Electric Code is to have standard good practices for selection of various items for electrical equipment forming the part of the power system. It also concerns with the safety and related matter in the wiring of the system, the safety procedures and practices in electrical work, and the additional precautions to be taken for the use of electrical equipment for special environment conditions like an explosive or an active atmosphere, or it can be quarries like that. Now it is being applicable to all these sections: standby generating plants, building substations, solar photovoltaic, sports hostels, medical establishment institutions. So this is where we can apply an NEC 2011. If you see that NEC 2011, it will be having the various sections where it discusses on how electrical system has to be implemented in each of these premises. And while having the scope, you should also see what is not coming under the purview of NEC 2011. So it does not come into picture with the traction motor vehicles installation in rolling stock, distribution of energy to public, power generation and transmission, and payment of electrical work. These things are not coming under the purview of NEC. So we have seen what is under the scope and what is not under the scope of NEC 2011. Now 8 parts are there in the case of an NEC 2011. First one is a general and common aspects. It has 20 subsections are there. Part 2 is related to the standby generating stations and the captive substations, how we can implement. Third section is on electrical installations in non-industrial buildings. Then in industrial buildings, how it has to be in outdoor installations, in agriculture premises, hazardous area, and solar photovoltaic power supply system. So we will also see a snapshot on these particular sections by viewing the document of NEC 2011. Now NEC 2011, it also specifies the general and common aspects. It generally specifies the various symbols which is to be used related to the electrical system, what are the standard voltages, what can be the maximum deviation from the rated voltage, the frequency. So in the section 3 of NEC 2011, it also has the graphic symbols for diagrams. The symbols and signs has to be used. So how to represent an alternating current 3-phase, a 550 Hz for 15 volt, a single phase supply, how to use, an earthing symbol, how to be represented, a motor, a synchronous motor, a transformer, a generator, an inductor, an impedance, a resistance. So these are the standard symbols which has to be used, and this is in with respect to the IEC standards. Here again the wattmeter, ammeter, voltmeter, then the lamp, how it has to be represented, a signal lamp, how it is to be represented, fuse, how has to be, what has to be representation. So all these things are being covered in the NEC 2011. We will also see the book of NEC 2011. So this is the NEC Electrical Code, National Electrical Code 2011, which is published again by the Bureau of Indian Standards. So it has the basic introduction. The committee, we have said that it is from the various committees like CPW, CEA, State Electricity Regulatory Commissions. Then it has the contents. So it has, we said that there are 8 parts are there. In that, the first part is having 20 sections. You can see here the 20 sections over here, 20 sections here, and it defines the scope, the definitions, the graphical symbols, standard values, the wiring installations, the short circuit calculation, then the electrical installations in standby generating stations, electrical installations in non-industrial buildings, what has to be in the industrial buildings, the outdoor installations, the agriculture premises, hazardous areas, solar photovoltaic power supply system. So each part, it also mentions the scope, the definitions. It is like nothing but the terminology which you see in the IS standard. So what is meant by series, what is meant by parallel, what is meant by earth fault, what is meant by relay, what is meant by switch gear. So from here you can refer down. It is a nearly 400 pages document which contains the entire thing related to the electrical system design, the factors to be followed for a safer and efficient and economic operation of the electrical systems. Thank you.